Hello and welcome to Everyday English AI Biography series. Today, we will learn English with the fascinating life story of Steve Jobs. He was one of the most creative and influential minds in the modern world. Steve Jobs changed how we use technology forever, with revolutionary products like the iPhone, the iPad, the Mac, and much more. He was the brilliant co-founder of Apple Inc., a company that became a global giant. Steve Jobs was a true dreamer, a deep thinker, and a relentless doer. His extraordinary journey teaches us powerful lessons about creativity, facing failure, and achieving immense success. In this video, you will improve your English listening and comprehension skills, learn deeply about Steve Jobs' remarkable life, understand important vocabulary and useful English phrases, and discover valuable life lessons from his unique journey. We will use simple English. We will speak slowly and clearly, making it easy for you to follow along. Let's begin. Chapter 1: Early Life of Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs was born on February 24, 1955, in San Francisco, California. His birth parents were unmarried students who decided to give him up for adoption. He was adopted by Paul and Clara Jobs, who lived in a small town near what we now call Silicon Valley. Paul and Clara loved Steve very much and made him feel special. They always told him he was 1000% their son. As a child, Steve was incredibly curious. He loved to take things apart, radios, appliances, just to see how they worked inside. His adoptive father, Paul Jobs, was a machinist and a very skilled craftsman. He showed Steve how to build things with his hands in their garage workshop. Paul taught Steve to appreciate quality and craftsmanship, even in parts that people would never see, like the back of a fence or the inside of a circuit board. This idea deeply influenced Steve's later belief in perfection for Apple products, both inside and out. Steve grew up in an area where many neighbors were engineers, so he was surrounded by technology from a young age. In school, Steve was very smart, but he often felt bored. He didn't like rules or traditional classrooms. However, he loved learning when he was truly interested in something. When he was 13, he attended the Hewlett-Packard Explorers Club, where he saw his very first desktop computer. He immediately fell in love with it. This experience even led to a summer job at HP. During high school, he met a friend named Steve Wozniak. Wozniak, or was a brilliant engineer who loved electronics, just like Steve. They quickly became close friends and bonded over their shared passion for technology and even playing pranks. Their friendship would change the world. Chapter 2: Dropping out of college. After high school, Steve Jobs went to Reed College in Portland, Oregon. He enrolled in the fall of 1972, majoring in English. But college was very expensive. After just 6 months, Steve decided to drop out. He felt guilty about the financial burden on his adoptive parents, and he didn't see the value in many of the required classes. But dropping out didn't mean he stopped learning. Not at all. He stayed on the Reed College campus for another year and a half. He slept on friends' dorm room floors, returned soda bottles for money to buy food, and took free meals from a local temple. Crucially, he audited classes that truly interested him. One of those classes was a calligraphy class. Calligraphy is the art of beautiful handwriting. Steve learned about different typefaces, how to vary the space between letters, and what makes great typography. He later said this class was incredibly beautiful, historical, and artistically subtle. He didn't know it then, But this seemingly unrelated class would become very important 10 years later, when he and his team were designing the first Macintosh computer. Steve insisted on including multiple beautiful fonts and proportionally spaced typefaces. This was revolutionary at the time. Most computers only had one basic font. Because of that calligraphy class, the Mac became the first computer to offer such elegant text, making computers look beautiful and user-friendly. Steve Jobs often reflected on this experience with his famous quote, "You can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backward." He believed you have to trust that your experiences, even the seemingly random ones, will somehow connect and make sense in your future. This philosophy guided his life and career. Chapter 3: Starting Apple. In 1976, Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak decided to start a company. Their initial operations were in Steve Jobs' family garage in Los Altos, California. They called it Apple. Their dream was bold. They wanted to make computers easy to use and affordable for everyone, not just scientists or hobbyists. They believed personal computers could change the world. They even had a third co-founder, Ronald Wayne, who joined briefly but sold his share for $800 after just 12 days. Worried about the financial risks, their first computer was the Apple I. Wozniak designed it as a simple circuit board. Jobs saw its potential and convinced Woz to sell it. They sold their own belongings. Jobs sold his Volkswagen van, and Woz sold his scientific calculator to get enough money for parts. They built the first 50 units in the Jobs garage. The Apple I sold for $666.66 and was popular among early computer enthusiasts. But their next computer, the Apple II, truly made history. Introduced in 1977, the Apple II was a complete personal computer with a colorful display, a built-in keyboard, and a user-friendly design. It was a huge success, especially when the first spreadsheet program, VisiCalc, became available for it, showing people how useful a home computer could be. Apple grew incredibly quickly. Steve Jobs was only 21 years old when they started the company. He had massive dreams, and he was determined to change the world through accessible technology. Chapter 4: Success and Failure. In 1984, Apple released the Macintosh, or Mac. It was an iconic computer with a revolutionary graphical user interface, meaning you used pictures and a mouse to interact with it, not just typing commands. It was beautifully designed and came with built-in applications like Mac Write and Mac Paint. The launch was famous for its 1984 Super Bowl commercial, which hinted at breaking free from conformity. The Macintosh was new and exciting, but commercially, it faced challenges. It was expensive, and early sales were slow. Around this time, problems began within Apple itself. Steve Jobs was incredibly passionate and brilliant, but he was also known for being very difficult to work with. He demanded perfection and could be very intense. This led to power struggles with the CEO he had hired, John Sculley, and with Apple's board of directors. In 1985, after a fierce internal battle, the Apple board of directors made a shocking decision. They removed Steve Jobs from his leadership role. Steve Jobs was effectively fired from his own company, the company he had co-founded in his garage. It was a devastating blow for him. He later described it as like being punched in the stomach. But Steve Jobs did not give up. He used this failure as a powerful opportunity for a new beginning. Chapter 5: A New Start. Next and Pixar. After leaving Apple, Steve Jobs started two new ventures. First, He founded a new computer company called Next Computer in 1985. Next aimed to build powerful, advanced computers for businesses and universities. While Next computers were technologically innovative, their operating system, Next Step, was truly ahead of its time. Even becoming the foundation for Apple's future operating system, they were expensive and didn't achieve widespread commercial success in hardware. However, a significant legacy of Next is that the World Wide Web was first developed on Next computers by Tim Berners-Lee at CERN. At the same time, in 1986, Steve Jobs made another very important investment. He bought a small, struggling computer graphics company from George Lucas, the creator of Star Wars. This small animation studio was called Pixar. For years, Pixar struggled to find its footing, burning through Jobs' money. But Steve believed in its potential and its talented animators. Then, in 1995, Pixar released the world's first full-length computer-animated movie, Toy Story. It was a monumental success, both critically acclaimed and a massive box office hit. Toy Story completely transformed the animation industry. Pixar quickly became one of the best and most innovative animation studios in the world, producing hit after hit like A Bug's Life, Monsters, Inc., and Finding Nemo. Steve Jobs showed the world that failure is not the end. It can be a vital step towards a new and even greater beginning. His time away from Apple taught him valuable lessons and allowed him to grow as a leader. Chapter 6: Return to Apple. In 1997, Apple was in deep trouble. The company was losing money rapidly and was very close to bankruptcy. They were struggling badly. They needed help. And they needed it fast, so Apple made a bold move. They brought Steve Jobs back. Steve returned as an interim CEO, and then permanently, with a clear vision and big, revolutionary ideas. He immediately began to simplify Apple's product lines and make tough but necessary decisions to save the company. He also launched the famous Think Different advertising campaign, inspiring a new era for Apple. His return marked the beginning of an incredible resurgence. In 1998, Apple released the iMac, a colorful, translucent, and friendly all-in-one computer that completely broke away from the boring beige boxes of the time. People loved its unique design and simplicity. The iMac was a huge hit and marked Apple's dramatic turnaround. Then came the iPod in 2001, a sleek, white device that promised 1,000 songs in your pocket. It wasn't the first MP3 player, but its beautiful design, intuitive scroll wheel, and seamless integration with iTunes, Apple's music software and online store, revolutionized the music industry, changing how we buy and listen to music forever. The iPhone arrived in 2007. Steve Jobs famously described it as an iPod, a phone, and an internet communicator, all in one revolutionary device. Its multi-touch screen and intuitive user interface redefined what a mobile phone could be. It single-handedly created the modern smartphone era and profoundly changed how billions of people communicate, work, and live. Finally, the iPad was introduced in 2010, a new kind of computer, a tablet that filled the space between a smartphone and a laptop. It launched the tablet market and became an essential tool for creativity, education, and entertainment. Under Steve Jobs' leadership, Apple didn't just recover. It led a global revolution in technology, design, and user experience. Chapter 7: Style and Vision. Steve Jobs was famous for his distinctive personal style, usually wearing a black turtleneck sweater, blue jeans, and sneakers. This simple, consistent look reflected his deeper philosophy. He deeply believed in design, not just how things look, but how they work, how they feel, and how they make you feel. He famously said, "Design is not just what it looks like and feels like. Design is how it works." For Jobs, design was about creating an intuitive, seamless, and enjoyable user experience. He focused obsessively on the smallest details, believing that true quality meant perfection in every aspect, even things users would never consciously see. This dedication to detail and user experience made Apple products stand out. He also strongly believed in simplicity, the idea that less is more. He wanted to remove unnecessary complexity, making technology easy and inviting for everyone. Steve Jobs was also a master presenter. His product keynotes, often called Steve Notes, were legendary. He turned product launches into exciting, theatrical events, using simple, clear slides, compelling storytelling, and dramatic reveals. He didn't just present products. He told stories about how these products would empower people and change their lives. His charisma and ability to inspire were often referred to as a reality distortion field. Chapter 8: Illness and Death. In 2003, Steve Jobs was diagnosed with a rare form of pancreatic cancer. He underwent surgery in 2004. But his health remained a challenge, slowly getting worse over the years. Despite his illness, he continued to work tirelessly, leading Apple through its most innovative period. However, his health eventually forced him to step back. In August 2011, Steve Jobs stepped down as CEO of Apple, passing the leadership to Tim Cook, who had been running the company during Steve's medical leaves. Later that year, on October 5, 2011, Steve Jobs passed away. He was only 56 years old. People around the world were deeply saddened by his death. Tributes poured in from global leaders, competitors like Bill Gates, and millions of ordinary people whose lives he had touched with his products and vision. Apple's website displayed a simple, powerful tribute to his life. People shared his famous quotes, remembered his iconic products, and reflected on his incredible story. Chapter 9: Lessons from Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs' life offers many valuable lessons that we can all learn from. Let's review some important ones. Follow your passion. Do what you truly love and believe in. His love for technology and design drove him. Don't give up. Failure, like being fired from Apple, can lead to new and even greater success. Persevere through challenges. Think different. Be creative. Be bold. Challenge the status quo and don't be afraid to innovate. Focus on quality. Great work takes immense dedication, attention to detail, and a commitment to excellence, both inside and out. Make a difference. Try to change the world for the better, even in small ways. Leave your mark. Key vocabulary. Let's look at some important English words and their meanings from Steve Jobs' story. Try to remember them. Innovator, a person who creates new things, ideas, or methods. Example: Steve Jobs was a remarkable innovator who changed many industries. Entrepreneur, a person who starts a new business, taking on financial risks in the hope of profit. Example: Jobs and Wozniak were young entrepreneurs when they started Apple in a garage. Design, the way something looks and works. Its plan or arrangement. To plan and create something. Example: Steve Jobs believed in simple and beautiful design. Example: Apple continues to design user-friendly products. Failure, When something does not succeed. A lack of success. Example. Being fired from Apple was a big failure for Steve. But it led to new opportunities. Success. The accomplishment of an aim or purpose. Achieving a goal. Example. The iPhone was a huge success and transformed Apple. Curious. Eager to know or learn something. Example. As a child, Steve was very curious about how machines worked. Audited. To attend a course or class without getting a grade or credit for it. Example. Steve audited a calligraphy class even after dropping out of college. Revolutionary. Causing or involving a great or dramatic change. Example. The iPhone was a truly revolutionary device. Intuitive. Easy to understand and use without needing special instructions. Example. Apple products are known for their intuitive user interfaces. Try using these words in your own English sentences. Key phrases and practice. Now, let's review some key phrases from the story. These are common and useful in everyday English. Repeat after me. Or just listen carefully. Steve Jobs was the co-founder of Apple. He believed in simple and beautiful design. He changed the way we use technology. After facing failure, he found new success. His story teaches us to think different. He focused obsessively on the small details. Now it's your turn to practice. Can you describe Steve Jobs in your own words? Using some of these new words and phrases. Try this. Steve Jobs was a great innovator. He created products that changed the world. He teaches us to never give up and to think different. Here's a question for you today. What is one thing you would like to invent? And why? Write your answer in the comments below. In English. We'd love to read your ideas. Steve Jobs was not just a businessman. He was an artist, a leader, a visionary, and a dreamer. His incredible story continues to inspire millions around the globe. He truly believed that small ideas, driven by passion and perseverance, can change the world. Thank you for watching Everyday English AI Biography series. If you enjoyed this video and learned something new, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more English learning content. Keep learning, keep dreaming, and remember, small ideas truly can change the world. See you in the next video.